Hi everyone, welcome back to Coffee Books and Rain. I'm Rachel, and instead of having coffee today, I do have a cup of tea. It's actually pretty late in the evening on a rainy Sunday, and I just got done with D&D. I didn't dress up. We were doing a different sort of one-shot called Kids on Bikes. And this particular one, we've kind of made it a reoccurring one-shot where it's not always the same scenario, but we do tend to play the same characters going through different, what we can kind of equate to Scooby-Doo / Stranger Things-esque missions, so to speak. So it's been a lot of fun. We just finished up our second one-shot, and I definitely think it is prepped to be something that we could continue in future one-shots should we want to. However, with tea in hand, we are going to talk today about Lightfall by Ed Crocker. Now, this is considered or is titled as the Everland Trilogy #1, and I give this book about a 4-star. I like it because I think it's very difficult frequently to have a vampire / werewolf book with different premise than what we usually see. Now, we usually see vampires and werewolves kind of top of the food chain, so to speak, and humans or mortals kind of being their prey, but there's always this pull for power between the Lycans and the Nightwalkers, so to speak. Well, in Lightfall, it's a little bit different. So that was one of the reasons that I kind of wanted to bring this book to you guys, is I liked the fact that it took the premise in a little bit of a different way, in a different sort of fantastical way, a little bit more so than the supernatural that we frequently get. This is not set in our sort of world. This is set in a world where being a werewolf, being a vampire, or being a sorcerer is the norm, and mortals are almost like the cryptids of this world. There is no lore, or there is speculation that maybe they once existed, but they no longer exist now, at least that they are aware. And of course, I think that's where this trilogy is coming from, is that maybe mortals are going to come into play. We're going to see. And again, I'm going to try to keep this very surface level to where I don't try to give you any spoilers. Now, I am releasing this episode about 2 weeks after the release date. The release date for this book was January 14th of 2025. I did get this book on or around the 14th. I think I saw it around that time and did not know I was going to add it to my my January reviews until I read it, and then I realized I liked this one a little bit better than one of the other books I had read, so I wanted to bring this one instead of the other one. Now, is the other one bad? Not at all, but I think I just enjoyed this one a little bit more. So, with all of that being said, let's dive into the summary before we dive into my overall thoughts and those sorts of things. An epic fantasy of vampires, werewolves, and sorcerers, Lightfall is the debut novel of Ed Crocker. For fans of J. Kristoff's Empire of the Vampire and Richard Swann's The Justice of Kings. Now, I haven't read J. Kristoff, but I've seen it, and Richard Swann's The Justice of Kings, I don't think I've seen it, nor have I just happened to, I haven't read it, but I'm more intrigued to add those possibly to my TBRs after reading this one. I am interested in continuing this series to see where it goes, because I definitely think it leaves us in a place where I want to know more. But let's dive into the summary. No humans here, just immortals, their politics, their feuds, and their long-buried secrets. For centuries, vampires freely roamed the land until the Greys came out of nowhere, wiping out half the population in a night. The survivors fled to the last vampire city of First Light, where the rules are simple. If you're poor, you drink weak blood. If you're nobility, you get the good stuff. And you can never, ever leave. Sorry, my throat is just a little bit sore, and I think it's just because this weather's been changing so much. Palace maid Sam has had enough of these rules, and she's definitely had enough of cleaning up the bedpans of the lords who enforce them. When the son of the city's ruler is murdered and she finds the only clue to his death, she seizes the chance to blackmail her way into a better class and better blood. She falls in with the leeches, a group of rebel maids who rein in the worst of the lords. Soon, she's in league with a sorcerer whose deductive skills make up for his lack of magic, a deadly werewolf assassin, and a countess who knows a city's worth of secrets. There's just one problem. What began as a murder investigation has uncovered a vast conspiracy by the ruling elite, and now Sam must find the truth before she becomes another victim. If she can avoid getting murdered, she just might live forever. So, in terms of kind of all of this sort of thing, I love the fact that this is almost a supernatural book where the supernatural aspects become the norm. I think in so many other books, we, of course, take the supernatural as the vampires and the werewolves and sorcerers and such, and they become like the next tier in, I guess, the hierarchy over humans. But because everybody almost has this immortality, everybody's back again on the same level. When everybody has the same thing, you are back on this same level. Now, you're still going to have classists or, the elite and the poor. And so that's where we get Sam, the maid, who she is the maid and she's a vampire. So let's go ahead and start right off the bat that Sam is part of this realm, and everybody that we meet along the way is part of one of these particular avenues of immortality. So I like that. But Sam, she's part of the Lord, I think, Azuri's house, and one night or one morning, I guess, so to speak, because they all wake up during, of course, the night and they go to bed when it's daylight. The son of one of the lords, the High Lords, is found murdered. And so there does become this murder mystery-esque sort of we have to use detective skills to figure out what happened. And so I love the mystery aspect of it as well, because so frequently, again, we see these sorts of types of characters lumped into just supernatural, and we kind of pull back on the other elements, where this is a quote-unquote supernatural book, but it's really a fantasy murder mystery. And I think that's where I enjoyed it more than I thought I was going to, or more than maybe what other people might have, is because I thought that was very unique. I was not expecting to kind of have everybody at this base level of immortal ability. And of course, they can be killed. It's not like they cannot be killed, but it has to be a killing blow. Now, there is this deadly werewolf assassin. Her name is Raven, and she goes after more or less other werewolves who have escaped, and she becomes almost like this bounty hunter. She is really cool, and I love the way she's written. Sam, on the other hand, I think through a good portion of the book, at least I would say the first 50%, I wish Sam was doing more than just being kind of curious and putting her nose in stuff. And then all of a sudden, she is trying to get in contact with the leeches. Well, the leeches are kind of again, the summary describes, a group of rebel maids who kind of have more information to this underground world than maybe others. And so they've been known to bring down people who are a little too powerful, maybe take them down a peg, so to speak. Well, Sam accidentally finds herself joining this group. And I do say accidentally because she does actively try kind of asking questions. It doesn't really work out. And then all of a sudden, she's more or less like, hey, this lord needs you for a party, or this high lady needs you for a party. You're going to go over there and help that high lady. When she gets there, the high lady, so to speak, is actually the head of the leeches. And she's like, okay, so I've heard you've been nosing around, but we've been keeping our eye on you, as someone of a secretive group would be doing to inquisitive people. And we feel as though you would be good for our group. And then several chapters go by where nothing involving the leeches seems to happen. And so that part to me was pretty slow paced. Again, if this is the first in a series of 3, then I think we're laying the foundation and the groundwork for a lot of stuff to happen in books 2 and 3. Maybe there is a reason that we are moving kind of so slow with regards to kind of setting these pieces up in a chess-like game. Because we do have what I would consider the lower class as represented by Sam. We have the assassin class, which is kind of represented by Raven. And then we've got Sage Bailey, who is the sorcerer. We've got the ruling class of vampires and various cities. But Lightfall is apparently this mysterious city that was established, and it feels like, and at least from what I can understand, almost lost. Like lost to time. I don't want to say it's kind of like an urban legend, but it seems to have like fallen, so to speak. So we do kind of have this curiosity of who these Greys are. We don't know much about them. The reader doesn't get to learn much about them, other than when High Lord Azuri tries to go to the place where his son was murdered. These Greys descend upon them very, very quickly, and pretty much start slaughtering the vampires who are trying to go out there to do this kind of like inquiry into the look at this place where the other has fallen. And there's also question as to like why did they kill him? And I think there was enough curiosity to really keep me going on each page. I am only really kind of giving you like the first 50 to 60 kind of percent sort of snapshot, because I do worry if I give you too much more, I may spoil things. I try not to. And again, I'm trying not to with this. But I would love to continue reading about this world that we finally got fully established by, I feel like the end of this book, I understand this world a little bit better. And so I understand these supernatural beings are more just like beings in this world. Sam, who again is the palace maid, she's given again what they call the weaker blood. It's like cow's blood. And then, of course, the higher lords and ladies, they get more like werewolf blood. And so werewolves who have done crimes or what have you tend to be almost bled for their blood. Like they use them kind of, but of course they're immortal. So they, even though they become weakened, they do stay alive. But while they're in prison, they almost become like a living blood bank. At least that's how I was interpreting it. It was very odd, but pretty cool. I mean, of course, definitely creepy, but overall, I'm pretty pleased with how this book played out, how it turned out, and I'm curious to get into book number 2. Now, I don't know when book number 2 comes out. I only finished this book probably earlier this week, a couple of days ago, so wanted to record this while it was still fresh on my brain. And I have, I think, 2 more episodes I'm going to record today where you're going to see me in my comfy cozy with my hair kind of fluffy a little bit because I didn't flat iron it too very well when I washed it this morning. And I also wanted to kind of show you guys that I have redone my space just a little bit differently. Even though I redid it kind of right after Christmas, I wasn't super satisfied. It felt a little busy. And so as I was thinking about it, I feel like I got some things that I wanted to get done this month done, which again, redoing this little space. And I put up this cool little wallpaper, although I still need some more over like on where you guys can't see but I can see. I need one more like half strip to run up the side of the wall, and then I need a little bit at the top. But again, that's out of view for you guys, which is good for me. That means I can record and it looks complete. I've also kind of redone my shelf just a little bit here, just to kind of like make it look kind of nice. So I hope you guys like it. And with all of that being said, we are now tracking towards the end of January. We just have a few days left. I cannot believe we're this far gone in this month. And I had really planned, I had recorded my podcast episode for Books Are Magical, where I was going to be, or am going to be, reviewing Wayward by Amelia Hart. However, I need to go in and then now pay for all of those subscriptions that are necessary in order to also publish and edit those episodes. So I use a program called Hindenburg, which is really good for like multi-track editing when I'm doing a podcast. But then I use Buzzsprout in order to push it out to all of the various platforms such as Spotify and Apple and such. So I have the podcast recorded. I think I have it about 25% edited, but again, I need to go in and pay for all my subscriptions, like, so I can get back on track with that. And I've been also looking for like a co-host that can join me about once a month to talk about books. And it's always really fun, especially on podcasts, when you have a co-host who you can kind of bounce ideas off of. And when you have multiple perspectives of a book, I feel like it lends well to a conversation of maybe that person caught something I missed, I caught something they missed. We see something from two different perspectives, and it just really lends well to having that sort of dialogue, which makes it much more entertaining to listen to. But I want to thank you so much for tuning in, for liking, and I hope you'll subscribe or thumbs up or something. I am growing slowly but surely with this little channel, and this is just a fun project of mine, a little hobby that I enjoy when I'm not doing my 7 to 3, Monday through Friday. And I also have tons of other little crafty projects and hobbies, but books is what I kind of wanted to bring to you guys. And so, thank you so much. I will see you guys on the next page. Have a great one. Bye.